So Susan, you've been with Freeform Fitness for a while now in quite a few various forms.
Yes.
So you started with us as a client.
Yes.
That was,
I think in 2016.
2016.
I'm going to guess. I think it was 2016 or
okay.
2018.
So a while ago now. And you were still a student at that time, right?
Yeah, I think I was finishing up university.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what brought you to Freeform and seeking personal training at that age.
So I was going through my first breakup. Okay. So that was number one reason. And I just knew that, I was going to the gym, but I was always staying in the mat area and the cardio area. And I was like, I want to go to the weights, but I'm so scared.
Yeah.
So I just did a Google and I saw Freeform Fitness. I'm like, okay, I'll give it a try. So then I became a client. Yeah.
Nice. So what made you stay past like our intro offer and keep going with working with a trainer?
It just went so well.
Yeah.
And I think after the 8 sessions, I wasn't ready to go to the weight section on my own in my own gym yet. Mm-hmm. So I was like, you know what, this is going so well. And like the trainer that I had was amazing. And I was like, let's continue this. This is an investment for my own health. Mm-hmm. And like I've been going to the gym before that for like 2-3 years because I was playing volleyball and I was never like an athletic kid. So I was like, this is an investment to my health. I wanted to get stronger playing volleyball, and I was like, this is an investment to my health, so I might as well continue. And I did, and I don't regret it.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a great investment.
Yeah, we hear that a lot as trainers. When somebody first joins us, a lot of times it's after a not so great situation and they're trying to kind of like build themselves back up.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's other clients who realize that they do all sorts of activities in one realm, but they've never really done strength training and they're hoping that it will help them in their other sports and activities.
Yeah.
So you hit a couple of different top reasons that people see us. And so let's start with the volleyball. Mm-hmm. Did you notice any of your skills or abilities improve with strength training?
I think at that time you don't realize the connection between strength training and sports.
Yeah.
I mean, I was very young, but now when I'm playing, a lot of people are like, Susan, you can jump really high. Because I'm always complaining like, I need to jump higher.
Yeah.
But people are like, Susan, you actually jump really high. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe it's all the workouts that I've been doing for years and years and years. But so during that time, I didn't notice anything. But now, like, I notice I'm faster and I'm stronger. I'm swinging harder and I'm jumping higher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And again, that's something that's fairly common, right? You really don't feel or notice the changes as you're going through them, but all of a sudden, you get comments or you do something that used to be hard and you try it again and it's like, this is a lot easier. And
the best comment is like, oh, you look so good.
Yeah.
Like, really? I do? Because you look at yourself every day.
Exactly.
So you don't notice anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we talked about this a little bit before. When it comes to playing, recreational sports, just the average person going off playing their beer league games on the weekends and how a lot of times they're not as prepared physically as they should be, which leads to injuries and stuff like that. So has that helped you kind of like stay healthy for volleyball? And have you noticed, other people that you play with maybe get injured a lot more frequently than they probably should?
Oh man, okay. I think the first thing I learned in one of my personal training course or classes was like we have winter.
Yeah.
We shovel a lot.
Uh-huh.
Like imagine one day you get a dump of snow, which we did, and people are just shoveling and then they're like, why does it hurt the next day?
Yeah.
It's because they haven't been moving.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So same thing, like I work for the government, I sit all day, my muscles aren't moving, nothing's moving, and then I'm playing an intense game that same night. Like I'm scared to get injured. So for me, because I keep my body moving, like I haven't been injured ever, but like I didn't notice my shoulders was getting tight.
Yeah.
So then when I went to see a physio, they said, well, you're doing too much of this movement and not enough of this movement, the pull.
Right.
So I started doing pulling exercises more, and I don't have any shoulder pains. But yeah, I do see a lot of people like they're just swinging, and then next thing you know, they're like, ouch, it hurts. I'm like, and then I ask them like, do you work out? Do you go to the gym? Do you do your exercise? And they're like, no, I don't work out. Yeah. And they're like, they refuse to work out. I'm like, okay, just saying.
Yeah. But it might be helpful.
Yeah, like I know working out has helped me not get injured.
Yeah.
So it definitely prepares your body to, do sports activity or like just shoveling the snow and not get injured. This is another story. During the pandemic, there was no gym, and I was replacing my dishwasher. And at one point, I like leaned into to grab something, and I felt my shoulder for the first time. And I'm like, this is what it means to work out and not be injured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we take, little things like that for granted sometimes, right? Just being able to exist without pain.
Yeah. Like before you start working at a desk, I was like, oh, people always talk about back pain. I don't know what they mean. And they always talk about shoulder pain. What do they mean? But now that I work at a desk, I understand the clients who are like, oh, my back hurts, or like my shoulder. Like, I understand now.
Yeah, me too. When the gyms were closed, my active job turned into a desk job, right? With training clients online. And all of a sudden I noticed over the last couple of years, like, oh, my back is starting to hurt. My shoulders hurt. I'm like, this is what clients have been complaining about.
So it's not a bad thing, because now we can relate to clients better. But
and like, it's not that we didn't know, but it's different when you can feel it.
When you can feel it, yeah, absolutely.
It's like, okay,
yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely tons of benefits
absolutely
to strength training, and yeah, it's unfortunate that people don't realize that they don't have to, kind of be in pain or deal with those little aches and stuff like that after playing their sports or doing whatever activities that they love to do, right?
Yeah. And so because I work for public health, the biggest thing is prevention.
Yeah.
Preventing is better than treating.
Yes.
And it saves you money.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why when I started, I'm like, this is an investment. And it has been.
Yeah, and I remember when you first started training with us, that was one thing I noticed, because I knew you were a student.
Yeah.
You worked like how many, 2-3 jobs?
Yeah, I know. I was a student. I was working like 2-3 jobs. Yeah. At least 2 jobs at that time to sustain myself.
Yeah.
And all my money went into freeform, because I was like, it's worth it.
Yeah. And you don't regret.
I don't regret it.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be financially literate. Obviously, spend wisely. But for me, it was like, this is worth spending on. And it helped me with other things as well. Like, I was starting to like meal prep at home more, because I'm like, okay, well, I gotta pay these, so I gotta, it's like, and it helped me like being prepared for bills as an adult.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I treated it like a bill.
Yeah. Good. And yeah, so you were a client of ours for a few years, and then what made you, make the jump to wanting to actually become a personal trainer?
Yeah, so I stopped coming, I think, after 2-3 years. Then I came back for like 8 months or a year after, and I took another break. There was too much going on, new job, government job, and then I was still following you guys on social media. And I think,
and then you still, maintained your own workouts, right? You kept up those habits.
I did.
Yes.
And then I saw on social media, I think it was a story saying that you guys were looking for trainers.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, okay, cool. I wonder if they would look for part-time trainers, because I know other gyms, they're like full-time only. But I've always wanted to personal train, because it transformed my life. I want to transform other people's lives.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let me message the manager here.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, you remember me? They're like, absolutely, I remember you.
She was your trainer.
Yeah. And then I was like, would you consider hiring me part-time? And she's like, yes, come in. And then that's how it started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And Yeah, so once you transitioned from being a client to a trainer, was there anything that surprised you?
I would say the first thing that helped me was telling clients like I was a member here, and they're like, really? And I'm like, yes. And then I would tell them my story.
Yeah.
So I think that was an easy transition because I had a story like theirs, like something bad happened or an event happened, or they just want to. They just, especially females, they just want to go to the weight section, but they don't know where to start. So.
And it's intimidating.
It's so intimidating. Even walking through these doors was intimidating.
Yeah, even for myself still, like I'm so used to working here in sort of like a private studio setting.
Yeah.
Over the holidays when I was visiting my parents, we went to the gym together and I was like, I'm not used to this big box gym environment with so many people wandering around. So yeah, even for me, I was like, I'm kind of intimidated.
Yeah. So imagine clients who don't know what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
So that was the transition, like the transition was really easy. And then because I've been working out for so long, I've worked with different trainers a little bit, and I did some personal training courses. I would say that I think most people have a mental block. That was a big surprise to me. It's more like, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, that's fine. And then I just don't like going in the weight section. So again, it's more of a mental block, I think, because I don't know what I'm doing. There's so many videos out there. I'm sure they've all looked at videos. They know what they want to do. Yeah. But they don't know how to do it. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I'm like, that's why we're here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Again, you know, there is so much information out there on the one hand, which is helpful, or it can be. But on the other side of things, sometimes too much information leads you to confusion, paralysis. You're like, should I do this or this? And that's where having somebody with the knowledge and experience is helpful, right? We can kind of like weed through all of that information and help you figure out, okay, what's relevant to you at this moment in time. And this is where you can start. Yes. At least.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'm on TikTok. There's so much information, but because I have the knowledge now, like, okay, I don't have to work out like her. I don't have to work out like this person. For me right now, I'm working on like this balance in life. Yeah. Kind of like my theme this year, balance. And I'm trying to like, okay, I like the way she works out, but I don't have to follow her 110%. What do I like from this workout? Let's say I don't know. Let's just say she squats every day and I like it. I'll take that. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, I see another influencer and she does cardio this way. Okay, I like that. I'll take this and I'll build my own thing. Because I'm not going to the extreme to follow this girl or another guy, or I'm taking a little bit of everything and making it my own.
Yeah. Something that works for you.
Exactly. Personalized.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because really most things work. But the key is you just have to do it consistently. And if you create a plan for yourself, actually take the time to follow through on that plan, right? You're not taking all these pieces, doing it for a week and moving on and following another few different pieces and trying those things out, right? Yeah. You're creating your own personalized plan and you're actually doing the plan for a period of time.
Like I did a program for myself and I'm realizing, I'm like, wow, I need to squat every week for the next 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah. It's repetitive, but it's consistency. And after the 8 weeks, you change it up. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's a lot of people who are new to working out, they don't realize like you have to do the same movement every week to see a difference, right? I know like when I was in the gym and didn't know what to do, I was doing one thing and then I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. I'll do another one. No wonder I didn't see results. Yeah. But I didn't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially for somebody who's just starting out. You need that repetition to practice. Right. Because, you need your bodies to get used to the movement and to improve and get better. And, you're not going to see improvement if you don't do one exercise if you only do one exercise like 6 weeks in between, right? Yeah, well, because it'll feel like you're starting over again.
Yes, yeah. So think about it as an athlete. when you're practicing, you're practicing the same thing every practice because you need that repetition. But one thing I also learned is not just repetition, it's also analyzing the repetition. So, okay, I passed this ball and it was good, but how can I make it better?
Yeah.
So then each time you pass that ball, you get better. Whereas if you're just passing and passing and passing, yes, eventually you get better, but if you want to get better faster, you need to analyze your feet, your hands, your platform. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Consistency.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, that's where us trainers come in, right?
Yes.
We do the analyzing for you.
Absolutely.
So if you're not sure what a good squat looks like, for instance, then we can let you know.
Yeah, because you can squat a million times but not do it right. You will get better at it, but if you're not analyzing it, you could injure yourself, especially if you're going to add more weights or stuff like that. But yeah, that's why we're there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So going back to what you said earlier about how you realize that, for a lot of people, it's that mental block that prevents them from even starting or being able to achieve what they're hoping to achieve, right? Like walking through those doors can be scary for some people.
Yeah.
And we see that fear manifest in a lot of different ways for our clients.
Yeah.
Right? So like you mentioned, fear of even entering foot into a gym to get started.
Yeah.
And then for myself in particular, I work with a lot of rehab type clients and helping them get over an injury. And the fear of re-injuring themselves is kind of a big one as well. So for you, what's your experience dealing with that mental block and fear in particular?
Okay, well, my first fear was actually walking through these doors. It's scary when you're like super young, number one, and then you're like, well, I don't know what to expect, and I don't know, maybe social media put it like this, but personal trainers are scary and they're like pushing you to the limit. So I was like, okay, this is so scary. But I actually Googled you guys like 6 months before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then I think I didn't call, I emailed, and I was like, okay, friendly email back, okay, this is good.
Yeah.
And I would walk by, because I lived with my grandma at this time, and I was walking by all the time, and like watching, making sure it's a nice gym, nice people. I'm like, okay, I will walk in. Well, we made an appointment, so I have no choice but to walk in.
Right.
So appointments are really good, because then it's like, okay, well, I have to go.
Yeah.
Right. So I went, and so that was my first mental block.
So it took you 6 months to even get there.
I know.
Yeah, I never knew that. That's
it's scary.
Yeah.
Like I've stepped foot in the gym before, but a personal training gym with a bunch of personal trainers.
Yeah.
Well, you guys broke the stereotype anyway, because you guys are all nice.
Yeah.
But so that was my biggest fear.
Yeah. And then like within those 6 months, did you still like keep your eye on us? Or you mentioned walking by a lot.
Yeah, because my bus stop was like right there. So I'm like, I always look at back. I'm like, okay. I did keep an eye on you guys, and I was like, hey, you know what? It's time. I think there's like stages of like contemplation or something. So I was like stuck in the first phase for a very long time. So that was my first mental block, and then the second mental block is, doing the things my trainer tells me to do that I didn't think I could do. Yeah. Like benching the bar. Yeah. Oh my, what is the bar? How much does it weigh? Yeah. But she was there to help me, right? And that's the thing with personal training. Like they push you to do things that you've never thought of doing before. Like actually, as a trainer now, I'm showing exercises. I'm like, have you done this before? They're like, no, never seen it. And it's nice to like teach people new things instead of them doing the same thing on the mat all the time. Yeah, so that was another mental block for me. I've never been injured, but I have friends who's had like ACLs or like ACL injury. They got their surgery and they're working with a physiotherapist or a personal trainer, but they're so scared to get back to playing volleyball. And this one friend in specific, she's had 2 surgeries, and she just was so scared to play. And like, you can come play with us. Like it's women's only, so it's an easy way back in, and like if you can't jump, we'll put you in a position where you don't need to jump. So again, I think people when they come back from an injury, they expect themselves to play like they used to before, like the top athletes. Like, yes, we will get you there, but let's baby steps first. You know, we don't want to go all in. So
because going all in, that's how you get injured.
Exactly, that's how you get re-injured, and then it's again another mental block. You're so hard on yourself. You're like, oh my god, like I did play last week and I wasn't good, and like you did amazing for what you've been through with your knee.
Yeah.
Like this is really, really good, but again, you're just so hard on yourself. You're not your own best friend, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to work on too. It's being my own best friend.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't tell your best friend like, yeah, you sucked.
No, exactly.
You'd be like, you did amazing. And she's been playing every week with us, and like she's starting to jump a little bit, and like again, it's baby steps. Baby steps for everything brings to a big victory.
Yeah, and it's like, again, analyzing and monitoring those small little progresses.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh, last week I wasn't able to do this, but this week I can.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, what's the next little jump next week that I can kind of challenge myself with in a safe environment?
And be honest with yourself. Like, if you're feeling your knee just a little bit, tell us. Right? Because a lot of people will just push through. But for an injury, no, tell us. And like, I think the first time she played, she was like, it hurts a little bit. I'm like, okay, let's put you in a position where you're not jumping, because we don't want her to get injured again. We want her to keep playing. So having supportive people is also a big thing. Yeah,
exactly. And yes, we really need to get rid of that sort of like no pain, no gain mentality, right?
I haven't heard that in a while.
Thankfully I haven't either, but I'm sure it's still out there.
I'm sure
to some extent. But yes, if something feels wrong or off, you definitely want to take that as a signal to maybe, slow down or give yourself some rest.
Your body's telling you something.
Yeah, exactly. So with injuries, I know, like we've noticed that people are afraid to sometimes even move, right? But you need to get back to moving to some extent, right? If you don't work on those baby steps, you can't expect yourself to go back to where you used to be. Right? And like you said, it is hard to remember what it felt like to do certain things, and then you're just like, oh, I'm just doing these little knee extensions. Even if it's boring, it's those steps. You can't skip those steps. It's really important to work with somebody who knows what the steps are to get you to where you need to go in a safe manner.
I mean, it's like getting your driver license. You're not going to go from a written test right to a G. You got to take years to get to your G, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or, go from the parking lot all the way to the 417.
Exactly. Baby steps brings to big victory, and it changes your life. You get to drive for the rest of your life.
Yeah, exactly. So, you started off as a student, coming to see us as a client. You moved on into working for us for a few years, and you're back now to a lesser degree, but you are back.
I am back.
But your full-time job is working for public health.
Yes.
So with that job, how do you see exercise, physical activity fitting in with the work that you do with sort of like, promoting a healthy lifestyle for everybody?
So I was working in the chronic disease prevention and health equity team for a little bit, and basically they're a team that gives funds for programs in the community, and a lot of them worked on obesity, diabetes, physical activity was a huge one, and then the chronic disease was more like we were focused on the mental health part of things as well. So I think my job like kind of made me realize like this is all one thing. Like they all relate to each other, because when we're writing papers, it's always like diabetes can be prevented with physical activity. Mental health is improved with physical activity. Everything physical activity. Right? So now I'm kind of more into the data IT side of things, so I'm not touching that as much, but I know physical activity is it is a huge way to prevent like chronic diseases. I think right now with COVID, we're focusing so much on infectious disease, but I'd like us to focus more on the chronic disease because chronic disease is it's harder to track for some reason. I think it's because it's sometimes you have it, but you don't know for years and years and years.
Right.
So there's no data on it, or by the time we have data on it, it's already kind of too late. Like we can't prevent it anymore. Now we have to treat it. So yeah, but we all know that prevention is key.
Yeah.
Yeah. And physical activity is one of the biggest ways to prevent.
Yeah, and prevention is key to the individual's health, but from a public health standpoint, there's a lot of financial benefits too.
Yeah, your tax dollars, guys.
Yeah, and yeah, especially over the last couple of years, hearing about how overloaded the healthcare system is, you know, the more we do to prevent people from having to see the doctors, go to the hospitals, like it'll just make everybody more available for stuff that can't be prevented, right? And it'll just everything will just be better.
It'll be good for the world.
Yes, exactly. So yes, exercise can change the world.
Yeah.
I think is what we are trying to say.
I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Why do you think it's so difficult to get that message across, or is it?
Oh man, I think it's a societal thing. I'm a very social scientist person. It's like the world we live in. Maybe they're just not prioritizing moving. Right? They're prioritizing their work, they're prioritizing, I don't know. They're prioritizing not moving, and it should be, because to me, it's like, we live in one body. Yeah. I only have one life in this body. I need to take care of it. That's how I see it, and that's how I prioritize my health.
Right.
Yeah. Even though I work at a desk job, I'm like, I need to after 4 o'clock, I'm like, okay, what am I doing?
Yeah. Get moving.
Yeah.
At this point, it's not knowledge that's the issue,
no,
right? Everybody knows the benefits of exercise.
Yeah.
It helps in so many different manners: mental health, physical health, preventing chronic diseases.
Everybody
and all
knows that.
Yes. But yeah, in our work with clients, working with people one-on-one, hearing their stories, what their struggles are, yeah, it's not exactly that simple.
No,
right?
I think most of the time they're like, I just don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. Yeah, I've been so busy. Or like, I don't have the time. Yeah, or I didn't have the time. Or so it
again goes back to that mental block.
Yeah, it's never like they know that moving is good for them, and that's why they came here. They just don't know where to start. Yeah. So it's not like, oh well, I don't see the benefit in exercising. No, nobody comes in and say, oh, well, I don't see the benefit of like moving, and that's why I'm here. No, they're like, I know it's good. Yeah. Just tell me what to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, and if there's anybody out there who's like where Susan was all those years ago and has been thinking about joining us or any other gym for a while now, it's like just take that first step, right? Yeah,
and don't say you don't have time. Like I had like a full-time job. I was a student, and I had 2-3 jobs on top of that. There is time. Yeah, there is time. Make time.
Yeah. Think about what's important to you. Yeah, and like again, it's never easy or as simple as it sounds. Yeah, but yeah, you kind of have to just take a step back and prioritize. Yeah. You know, what's really important to you. What are you doing right now in your life that maybe you could probably live without, and slowly cut back on those things. Yeah. And again, you know, it's not an all or nothing situation. We're not expecting people to go to the gym 7 days a week. We don't recommend that.
That was what I had in my head before I came in. I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna make me like start like doing some crazy stuff, and I can't do because that's the stereotype I got from personal trainers.
Right. Yes. But now you know us. We're not like that at all.
I'm not like that either, guys.
Yeah. So you know, we learn about your life, what you're going through, and we help you sort of navigate those decisions and figure out, okay, this is where you're starting now. So what can you do
Yeah.
to make that small step
Right.
to move forward? Because
Yeah.
that's all we're trying to do, just to nudge you forward just a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah, that's all.
And then,
Yeah.
over time, as you build that self-confidence and that mental block starts to, get pushed back a little further and further away, that's where we can see, okay, we can push you outside your comfort zone a little bit more, and then all of a sudden you're like a whole new person.
Yeah, it's like playing a volleyball game. I'm really hard on myself during the games, and I'm like, oh, why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? But when you're working on the mental side of, like, a lot of people don't know, but athletes go through a huge mental block, and mental it's so not talked about. Like, we do the physical stuff, they work out, they practice every time, and there's the tactical things like, okay, looking at, like, having a good view and predicting the game. But the mental side, I think it needs a lot of work on.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, managing your emotions, even if you made a mistake, not constantly thinking about it. Yeah. It's like, nobody's perfect. No game is ever perfect. You're going to make mistakes.
Exactly. And some days you come into the gym and you're like, oh, I don't think I can pull this weight this time, but I did it last time. Why can't I do it today? And you're hard on yourself. No, just, okay, you didn't.
Progress isn't a straight line.
Exactly.
There's those ups and downs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what would be your number one piece of advice for people?
Oh, wow. It seems like the theme today is, a few themes.
Yeah.
Small wins bring to big victories.
Yeah.
And let's work on mental toughness. Yeah.
Yeah. And just start something.
Just start something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Starting is better. Like, starting somewhere is better than not doing anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Even if it's something little, because when you have that mental block, even realizing, okay, I managed to do that 10-minute walk.
I was going to say, walks are so amazing. Even in minus 25 degrees.
Yes.
It's minus 25 degrees. You can't control the weather, but you went for a walk anyways. That's something you can control.
Yeah. And a lot of times what we hear is when we ask our clients, okay, how did it go? And they're like, oh, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Right? So
bundle up, know. Another piece of advice is control the things you can control. So yeah, if you can control being putting on your shoes, bundling up, going for that walk. That's things you can control. So yeah.
Yeah. You can't control the weather.
Exactly.
Right? So if it's minus 25, if it's raining out, those are a lot of the excuses that people use to not do what they should be doing.
Exactly.
So, we're not saying if it's like super cold or if it's dangerous to go outside,
don't do it.
Don't do it. But yeah, you can find an alternative to getting moving, whether it's finding an indoor venue or just doing something at home.
Yeah, exactly.
But yes, when you commit to doing something that day, you want to make sure that you follow through, or at least try to.
Yeah. Don't feel stuck. Like, control. Like, this is your life. You can control it.